Test. Can you hear me? Is it not coming through? You shouldn't have to. Test.
Welcome, Wade. The public is here.
100% increase in our usual audience.
Yeah. Tell me when we're ready to go. Have we, okay. Okay. All right. This is the Environmental Advisory Council for Newtown Township. A monthly meeting is June 6th at 5 o'clock. I'll start by taking a roll call of our members. Harry Bryant. Here. Janet Cravanis.
Here.
Cindy Mahalo.
Here.
Dane Shoemaker. Here. And Sheila O'Sullivan Feeney.
Present.
Okay, and Joe Pinto just in time.
Here.
Okay, all of us are here. And we have Steve Neese joining us remotely. Here. George Sharretts as well. First, we'll start off with a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No shortage of things to be silent about and contemplate.
Very true.
Agenda item number 4, or item number 4 is the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for this evening's meeting?
I do have one comment. I don't see in their liaison report, you mentioned you were going to add that to the agenda every month as a standing.
Of the way?
All of us have liaisons to our appropriate.
Oh,
committees.
yeah.
So you mentioned you were going to have that added.
Okay, well, that's a stake on my part.
Okay,
What
so, and you mentioned that we would give our brief summation of our liaison reports, but if there was a particular item on our agenda, we would then go in depth for that particular.
Okay. Are you in a position to give a report, or should we?
Yeah. I can give a quick
Okay.
report of mine, but I'm just saying,
Okay.
to make sure we get
We'll
that
find
done.
a slot for that. Anybody else that has any comments can weigh in as well.
So if you're going to, hi, this is Steve. If you're going to adjust the agenda to take reports, then I would suggest that you go ahead and just add it to the agenda and vote to do that. So
Okay.
take a vote to add it to the agenda or to amend the agenda, and then a second vote to add it to the agenda. Or, once you get there. So I think you'll be fine.
And I would like to add another brief item to the agenda, and that is, I can just give an update on the rain gardens.
Okay.
Rain garden.
Okay, I'm gonna looking for a motion to add the liaison discussion to this evening's agenda. Do I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Okay, second.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All not in favor, nay. Passed unanimously. The second agenda item that we're going to add this evening is an update by Cindy on the status of the rain garden. Do I have a motion to include that in this evening's agenda?
So
Yes.
moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against? Unanimous. Squeeze those in when it seems like the best place. I don't believe we've officially approved the agenda yet.
Oh, so what I would recommend is that you just give each one a number on your agenda where you want to put it. And then as you approve the agenda, you now have it covered.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Liaison discussion, we'll make 7.4 or 7.3 under new business. And we'll do the rain garden update at 7.4. We set Steve now?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. Passed unanimously. Next, agenda number 5, item number 5 is the approval of the minutes from our May 2nd meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our May 2nd meeting?
I noticed that in item 7. I noticed that in item 7.2, first of all, I want to thank whoever wrote the minutes because this was a very complex discussion here about the process that development plans follow. So I started reading this with eager anticipation to have it reiterated for me. But I think the paragraph that begins with Steve Neese outlined development plan review process and schedule. I think the writing gets a little garbled in there and just suggests that maybe that be revisited. And not just because like maybe it's the punctuation or some of the sentences weren't quite whole sentences. And then I thought the explanation got a little lost there.
Yeah. I need some guidance on this, Steve. It's my understanding these minutes have already been published.
No, the minutes aren't official until you approve them.
Okay.
So they're published in that they're attached to your agenda tonight, and so the public sees them. But until you approve them, they're not official. So if you have a change you want to make, it's a little more helpful for us if the change is specific. But if you want us to reword that paragraph, we can take a look at it and see how to do that.
And would it be necessary to approve them once they've been amended?
Well, if you're not as a group saying change sentence 3 to say X,
Right.
and then we just do that, then you would do that. If not, we could actually go back, rework that section, and then come back to you at the next meeting for approval.
That would be my choice. For us to make clarification of this, resend out the minutes and for comments at that time, and we're approve them at our, will be our August meeting. Are there any other comments about the minutes from May? Okay, so we're going to defer a vote on that. Next item 6. Dane came up with the idea, and I've been involved in discussions about it with him, is to put together a sustainable business program for those commercial enterprises that are operating in the township to create awareness and to impact actions to move the township to more sustainable business practices. So Dane is in a position to make a presentation this evening about that, and we can follow that with a discussion. We're hoping to get to a point where we can make a decision this evening about moving forward with this, and the next step would be a presentation to the supervisors, a presentation that will look a lot like what you see this evening.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. And this isn't 100% fleshed out yet either. So looking for this to be an open discussion today as well, looking for feedback. One of the other discussion items today is the plastic bag ban. And while this isn't directly related to that, it should be and should be a cohesive program, right? A joint effort. So you can just go to the next slide. So what this is, a program designed to educate, inform, and reward local businesses in Newtown Township around sustainable business practices, right? And that's a broad spectrum. It's reducing plastic, it's conserving energy, reducing wastewater, electrical conservation as well. We have to take the approaches, we're all volunteers, we're not necessarily experts in any one of these areas, but certainly it's an opportunity for businesses to kind of raise their hand. Hey, I want to make an impact, a positive impact to our township. And it's really going to be a voluntary, very soft pledge that businesses can sign up to really raise their hand and say, I want to be a good steward of our community, and start making some strides towards environmentally sustainable business practices. So go to the next slide. Actually, I'm sorry, go back. Okay, yeah, you can. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I skipped a slide. We're all very well versed of the Sustainable Newtown Square program, but for anyone watching on YouTube or in the future of this recorded, Sustainable Pennsylvania is a program that we adopted. There was a resolution passed last April that we would adopt this as our framework as a township moving forward, to look at all the different elements of township. One of which is one of the items is around a program to educate and reward local businesses on these types of practices. So this will help us hopefully get to that next level, gold, platinum. Other townships have adopted a similar approach, a reward program, things like that. So what this program is, you can go to the next slide. Again, a program designed to reward and educate local businesses. The next slide, please. All right. So this is kind of an eye chart, but look at three different benefits, right? The businesses benefit, the township benefits, and residents ultimately will benefit, right? So businesses get some good press around, they are being good stewards of the community. What we would do is have a window decal that they could adopt, put on their retail business. They could also get a digital image that goes on their website, or any marketing material that they want to do, goes out, some recognition in township communications, and potentially attract new customers. I think there's some demographics that do appreciate businesses or will patron a business that is giving back to the community, is being environmentally friendly. The township helps, we hit our goals around the Sustainable Newtown Square. It just demonstrates good government and transparent government, encouraging innovation in the township. It also creates, a framework for rewarding businesses, maybe attracting new businesses that want to be in an environment like this. It also demonstrates Newtown Township as a progressive community without hindering free markets. This isn't something that we're putting down on businesses. You have to do, these benchmarks in order to do business here. It's really an opportunity for them to volunteer and raise their hands around some of these different items. And then for residents, it encourages a buy local program. It encourages, maintains a directory of businesses that have raised their hand and said they want to be good stewards of the environment. And consumers, are ultimately more willing to maybe spend money in a Newtown Township business, knowing that it's going to impact their local community. So how this works, and again, the next slide. This really is Bruce and I went back and forth on this a little bit. We looked at maybe there's different tiers, right? Hey, we commit to doing this and this over the next 6 months. We do some type of audit. There's different levels. We really don't have the bandwidth to do that level of engagement with the businesses. So what this is a best effort for companies to make a pledge towards making every effort to reduce plastic use, whether that's eliminating plastic bags, eliminating styrofoam if you're a restaurant, eliminating plastic utensils and things like that, straws. What we want to do is have businesses participate in park cleanups and stream cleanups as well. So maybe that's an area that we could actually quantify. We ask that every business that commits to this do 2 to 4 hours a year or 2 events per year. You get a representative out there from a local business to help actually in our park cleanups, right, in our stream cleanups. Reduce vehicle idling. Evaluate renewable electrical sources, LED lighting, solar panels, things like that. Make an effort to landscape using native plants and trees. Make every effort to reduce water consumption and to communicate and educate their customers about doing the same. How this would work is what we would want to do is a pamphlet or a brochure that has simple things that businesses can do. Maybe if it's a restaurant, hey, get rid of plastic bags, get rid of straws, get rid of styrofoam packaging. If it's a professional services, accounting office or dentist office, something like that, they can start using recycled office products or things like that. Some different elements with some statistics around things on why they do and why it's a good business. What we do, we knock on doors, we go out to the farmers market, we maybe have some informational sessions for businesses. They make the pledge. They'll actually go to the website, township website. There's a form. They can make the pledge there. What we can do is reach out to them. There'll be some level of engagement, whether it's a phone call, we'll meet with them in person, understand what they're doing, and then do some level of recognition, basically either something on Facebook, an article in one of the vehicles, Hometown Press, Newtown Square, Friends and Neighbors magazine. And then it's an ongoing dialogue. It's a way to really help communicate what the township is doing and what we're moving towards, and then getting the business community involved. And ultimately, what I'd like to do is maybe once a year, get an award or something like that, recognize a business, whether it's at the December luncheon, the Newtown Square Business Association luncheon, something along those lines. So what we need, Board of Supervisor support, so someone to kind of help champion this. Obviously a pamphlet or a brochure that kind of gets into more specifics on the why, right? Why it's important for businesses to take steps towards this. Landing page on the website, and then like an annual award, like I just mentioned. And then here's some steps that we might take, if it's approved or supported by the Board of Supervisors. I think that's the last slide. Yeah, so questions.
Would there be, so you mentioned, would there be different levels, or would it just be a?
I don't think it's feasible to do
Okay.
different levels. Right?
So-
Then it becomes into, really benchmarking businesses, us coming in. I don't think businesses want us to come in and start auditing different, I think it really has to be
Just to.
a little bit of a softer approach.
So is it going to be like a 5-category thing? You hit 3 of those categories, you're in, something like that, or?
I think it comes down to maybe what's one realistic thing that you can achieve over the next 12 months.
Okay.
And that's what it comes down to.
And
Based on the type of business that we can kind of help steer them towards that. If it's a retail environment, reduce plastic bags. That seems to be the hot button right now. If it's a restaurant, maybe reduce, eliminating styrofoam and straws. If it's an office, accounting office or something like that, using recycled office products.
We try to stay away from the notion of pledging because we don't want to get the audit and enforcement business.
It's just gonna be too much.
Levels would kind of
Create that.
create the same thing.
Right.
So we're calling it a commitment. It's softer, it's non-threatening, and it gets us what we want. And I think it is an easier sell and can prompt some action.
So if I may, one of the things you'll find when you speak with them one-on-one is that some of these businesses are going to be doing something already.
Exactly.
And they may not even realize that they're doing it,
Yeah.
but being able to compliment them on that at the time, it's like you've already got something you can check off. Now, how about adding another one to it? I think that would be, a way to kind of pat them on the back as they're getting started.
Yeah.
And get some acknowledgement, but at the same point, move them to the next stage. And if I could just comment, I think it's very well put together.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it just creates a dialogue. It's not something that we, like, I looked at different cities across the US have a similar program where there's, a gold, silver, platinum, right, different levels. And they have the resources to do that. And they have the authority to go into a business and say, we don't want you doing this, or, but we can't do that in Newtown Square. I mean, businesses are struggling as it is. So, yeah, Harry.
I have two short questions. You
Sure.
may have already answered them and I didn't hear. Have we run this up the flagpole with the Newtown Square Business Association? Have they seen this?
Yeah, we did. We talked to Paul and did a presentation for his board back in December. There was a lot of enthusiasm around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other question is, and I know that we talked earlier about the lack of enthusiasm to audit people, and I understand that. But if a year goes by and a business appears to have done nothing,
Yeah.
zero, what flows from that? Anything?
I think we would reserve the right to go up and.
What we could do is annualize it, if that makes sense.
Say that again?
What's
We
that?
could say, you're a green business for 2023, come
Yes.
back again in
Yes.
2024.
Sticker would
Yeah,
have the date on
to see if they
That's a
get
good
an
idea.
Yeah.
endorsement
I like
for the
I
coming
would
year.
think asking them to annually renew their commitment and recite what they had done in the prior
I
year
love that.
is, would be desirable. In other words, it doesn't require that we go padding into their shop to show us your reusable bags or whatever, but it does, there is this concept we all know called greenwashing.
Yeah, sure.
Where companies claim to have a far better eco profile than in fact they do. And it's a common phenomenon. And it occurs in large businesses, and I'm sure this is a vehicle for it to occur in small businesses if we don't have some string. And I think an annual re-upping would be a way. And quite frankly, it may be self-selective. In other words, some fellow says, gal says, make the commitment in year one. In year two rolls around and they realize they've done nothing. And that they don't have the enthusiasm for it or whatever. They weed themselves out,
Sure.
I think there's a lot of wisdom in that, Harry. I really like the idea, a couple things. I like the idea that you said it's not a pledge, but it's a commitment. I think either word would work, but I think the point is that the business is stating that they aspire to do something and that they're putting themselves out there, that they're going to do something. It's not the EAC certifying that they have done it.
Exactly.
Because as you said, we don't want to get in that role. So the onus is kind of on them stepping forward to say they want to do it. And then I love the idea of the annual sticker with the year on it, that for this year, they've taken the pledge or made the commitment. And then I love your idea that at the end of the year, the business would have to send a report to us. One page. It's not that hard to say, this is what we did and we would like to renew and apply for the next year's sticker. Because then that puts the burden on them and yet there is some level of accountability.
Yeah, it's really no different than Birdtown
Yeah.
or Tree City with an annual reapplication.
Right.
Your thoughts on that, Harry?
I'm fine. I'm okay with that.
I just have a couple questions. We've before talked about this program, and I kind of said if we could model that same thing like New York restaurants, just a paper certificate. So the decal would be plastic, which would be against what we're trying to do. So if we do a small paper certificate and just, a 4x5 type card that could fit in the corner of the window and, with the logo, with Newtown Square, sustainability and all that program would be great, because I want to make sure the cost of the decal, because are they an EAC budgetary item, or are they adding to the burden of the administration for the township? And I just want to make sure from the administration costs, whatever we do, we don't add to their burden as well.
Sure.
And from a brochure, I'd like it to be digital and a physical copy. But Dane, I think it's fabulous and, definitely 100% supportive. I do like the best effort pledge, and I think the supervisors would be really supportive of it as well. But I definitely think we need to have a renewal every year as
Yeah.
well.
I think what we need to do, first of all, where's the money coming
Yep.
from? I think the appropriate place for it to come is out of our budget.
Right.
Environmental, got the budget for it. I think Danny and I have to work out like the cost of the
Certificate, yeah.
the stickers.
Yeah.
And we can come up with that, and I think easily we can come up with the cost of, X number of hard copy,
Mhm.
leave behind sheets.
And
Yeah,
also
the
another.
the brochure would be just a trifold piece of paper too.
Yeah.
And since you were talking about having them re-up with the lawn conservation program and the water conservation programs through the state, you have to provide the document, you upload the picture, you have to show a picture of, so we could even take that same type of model if you really want that. But I would say less is best when it comes in terms of administration. But have any of you done the lawn conservation stewardship for your own property?
Mhm.
I did it, and we were certified, but we had to show everything that we've done,
Right.
picture documentation, written documentation of everything. And that's for maybe when this project
Yeah.
grows a little bit more.
I was thinking in lieu of a report, like Cindy said, it could be a questionnaire.
Yep.
Check off the things that you've done with maybe a remark against that, because, even these business guys are scrambling.
Yep.
And check, questionnaire is easier than a report for them.
It might point to something they hadn't thought about doing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
So I had, as you were talking about the not plastic bags, was thinking about my dentist who used to package the toothpaste and toothbrush in a little
In a little
plastic
plastic
bag,
bag,
yeah.
right? Yes, they've switched to paper.
Okay.
I think that would be something that would qualify for being good for the environment. You wouldn't necessarily want to send people home with a little cloth bag that would just hold those few little items. Would that be used again? That probably would,
It would be a
them in the
recommendation, I
trash.
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So I think paper is certainly a recyclable product. Place of plastic.
Sure.
Maybe what the process forward could be is we take a vote tonight, kind of saying it's a good idea. Let's go forward with the presentation to the supervisors. Subsequently, we can drill into, what points we should make to the businesses to help them move toward sustainability. I think they want to move, but they don't know what to do, in a lot of cases. So we can come up.
To your point, George, I mean, there already are businesses doing these things. I mean,
Yeah.
there's tons
Yeah.
of businesses that
Mhm.
have paper bags, there's, so it's really, if nothing else, it's a matter of kind of aggregating what everyone is doing already and kind of communicating that out to the broader business community, so.
And we recognize the large businesses that might have an office in Newtown Square are going to be tough.
Right.
Corporate's the person that do that. So, the target will really be businesses that are here
Yes.
in our community. And what came out of our presentation to the Business Association is that Dunwoody's very proud about the work that they've done. And I think we can get them on board relatively easy. And I think if we get a couple on board, it has the potential of snowballing. And Dunwoody, has a big presence in our community, so Dane and I, once we get the go forward, we're head over to Dunwoody and see how we make out, and see if they want to sign up.
There's already a few businesses that are interested. All right.
Yeah.
Nobody, it's one. we reached out.
Mhm.
So a launch date, any idea on that?
As soon as possible. And then too, like, there's the large corporations. This is what New Jersey already did. Wawa, so.
They're right.
Wawa, get rid of
Mhm.
Yeah.
What I noticed Wawa was doing is, the default used to be you'd buy a pack of chewing gum and you'd stick it in the bag. Now they seem to be asking, do you need a bag?
I had to buy this. Yeah, it was like a quarter or
Oh,
something.
yeah?
Yeah. Which I'm happy to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nicely done, Dane.
Good.
Yeah, I think that was really well done. The one comment that I would make, I like the concept of a checkoff sheet, where they can make a comment. I might suggest that as you get ready to present this to the board, that not that it would be complete, but that you have a sample kind of thought process with that checkoff sheet that would be there. Just so there were some ideas that were being thrown out on the table without it being finalized even. But I think this is really ready to go, and I agree. I think our supervisors will stand behind this in this way.
For the check off or whatever, so you talked about having a pamphlet. So could we have maybe a digital website to go or some attachment on the pamphlet that says, go answer the questions here to, certify yourself or whatever.
Online,
Whatever.
yeah.
And then this way you cut out the paper, you can also cut out the mailing or anything back and forth. And then somebody just oh, boom, yeah. And then you can just send out these paper stickers or whatever, or the digital. I mean, the digital is probably even better for most companies as well. But this way, if you have that pamphlet and it actually gets to somebody, say, I mean, obviously it would be tough to get somebody maybe at SAP, but if a pamphlet got to somebody and they were like, oh, there's a website, boom, then they could just go on and do it real quick. And then boom, then you have SAP sitting in your your group of companies, and it's wow, now I want to be in that group too, and so on and so forth. So again, like you said, Bruce, it would snowball. And
When you do get the supervisor, I mean, this is, do you think we could look into PR with this? Because get some of those larger companies signed up and make it a PR event for those companies and get the announcement out there. Which would really be helpful.
Mhm.
The idea would be to try and get this.
And we could work with you on that in, getting our communications person involved and doing, a press release on companies that are participating in this. We could make that happen if the board approves it. I think that makes sense.
I make one last suggestion, and that's when they do submit their annual checkoff thing, I would encourage them, if they have a photo they want to submit,
Yes.
because then you get a little bit of proof, like just a
Yeah.
picture of your bag or a picture of your recycling bin or something like that. That's so easy to do nowadays.
upgraded all your lighting and in your receipt.
The bill.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Thank you.
At what point I'd like to propose that we vote on this in terms of going forward. Would this be a good place to do that, Steve?
I don't have your agenda right in front of me, but I believe that if I remember right, isn't that the next item on your agenda?
7.1.
Yeah, 7.1.
That is what that's for, correct?
Yes,
Yeah, that's the appropriate place to do it.
okay. Okay, now that we've seen and discussed the green business program, do I have a motion to proceed forward to the next step, which will be a presentation?
I make a motion to
supervisor.
proceed forward
Okay.
with the comments that were noted by all the supervisors,
Mhm.
sorry, the board members, and present it to the
Okay.
supervisors.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, nay. Passed unanimously. Next item is 7.2. We're going to credit Harry with this idea. And information about this was included as attachments to this agenda. I'm not sure if people had a chance to scan that. Harry, do you want to basically give us a quick briefing of what your thoughts are about this program?
Well, the memo has been available for a while, but there's nothing very fancy here. We all agree that the single-use plastic bag thing is a problem, and that we would be, I think, we all agree, but I don't want to speak for others, negligent if we didn't address it. There are two ways to go. Both of them involve educating the community as to the issues associated with single-use plastic bags and encouraging activities that would cut down on their use within Newtown Township. And in one sense, in one world, that's as far as we would go. In the other world, we would do that, and the supervisors would ultimately enact an ordinance prohibiting their use within the township. Obviously, a number of local municipalities either have done it or are on the cusp of doing it, banning them. I think the supervisors, to the extent we've had informal chats with them, have been concerned primarily about the business community and how they would react to it, because there is, and we can't lie to ourselves, there is some cost associated with switching over. The Newtown Square Business Association has discussed it, and it's my understanding that almost without exception, the members of the Newtown Square Business Association who've expressed a view are 100% supportive of it. Now that includes some, I think, larger businesses that are subject to that ban in other jurisdictions, including now New Jersey. But I think it includes some smaller businesses also. And just tell you that Paul Seligson told me that he had no material pushback to the notion that the township would ban single-use plastic bags. Now, even if that's what Paul believes, we all know that some people will come out of the woodwork and be reluctant to buy into it. But the fact is, it is happening in another number of jurisdictions. My notion was, and we drafted an ordinance for the supervisors to consider. This body hasn't yet put it in front of the supervisors because we don't care to put something in front of them that's just going to go nowhere. But we are continuing to have conversations with them about that ordinance. And frankly, I told them I would go with the Haverford Township ordinance if it made them feel better. There are hundreds of these things out there, and they all get to basically the same place in different ways. And any one of them, I think, would work. But the interim step, I thought, might be to have some bags manufactured and make them available, and maybe at an EAC table at the farmer's market or at other township events for free, with the understanding that those people who accepted them would make a commitment to use them and spread the word to others who don't yet quite get it. And so that's all I had in mind. I think if we use the township logo, and I haven't heard Steve say we couldn't, it would provide a little bit of support for the township the same way. Jen has one that she just got from the Delco Sustainability. It's quite tasteful, I think. Would support Delco. I think it would be nice. But others may have a different view. I'll stop talking.
Yeah, I think as long as the Board of Supervisors agrees using our logo is not a problem. And I can't imagine they wouldn't agree on that part. The other comment that I would make that we might, although it, hopefully it's going to change, is we might put our sustainability award on there as well, just kind of tying that whole thing together.
Yep, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I was just thinking the same thing too. I like the little circle you had on your presentation, Dane.
Well, I had that logo made up too, actually.
Yeah, I really like that, like the sustainable Newtown Square green business, and
If that's something.
maybe you adapt it a little bit for the bag. I am totally in support of people using less plastic bags and using reusable bags. I don't know about you all, but I have a lifetime supply of reusable bags. And I know I'm probably not a representative person, but I have so many bags. The last thing I need is another bag.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering, while we want to encourage people to use plastic or reusable bags, could we also say, bring your own reusable bag that you probably already have? Maybe in addition to giving them away, I just think, they're.
Well, I'm thinking about the person who I see regularly leaving the Acme with a shopping cart
Full
full
of
of
plastic.
17 single-use plastic bags. That's the person I'm trying to get to,
Yeah.
not the person who already has
There's
14.
tons of
Right,
those
but
people.
see, but I'm wondering, do those people, because I see them too, do they not have any plastic bags at home?
No,
Can they just
probably.
not be bothered?
You probably just can't be bothered. I
Yeah,
would
so it's like motivating those people that can't be bothered, because reusable bags are ubiquitous. And I'm thinking, is giving someone like that a free bag going to motivate them to?
Cindy, I'm sure I don't know. And
Yeah, I
unless,
don't know. That's
unless
why I'm
you,
thinking of it.
Well,
you reserve the right to fine them if they don't use it, there's no way you can.
But maybe that's
Yeah.
part
There's no
of
way
giving
you
the
can
bag
police
away.
it, but it's just an effort.
Well, there's different programs, like I'm an EU citizen too, and in there, if you don't bring a bag, you have to use a box. Or you could pay, and the price is rather dear for the box, for that thing. So it's kind of a reward and punishment type of module that works. And I'll never forget the bloody bag when I go to that store, but when you go up to Acme, you do forget them. And also, there's some thoughts about why certain plastic bags, when you're dealing with meat, poultry, milk, there's certain products that you don't want in a regular bag because of hygiene and byproducts. So there is some of that issue, but I think changing behavior is something we have to work on, bringing it to people's attention. And by the Township Magazine and all that, I support the bags if you feel that will be helpful. But I think really it's kind of a talking point of getting people to understand why we're doing what we're doing, and changing behavior is something we have to really work on. And
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
When you're handing someone a reusable bag, you're not just giving them a bag, you're having a conversation with them. Hey, this is why it's important to do that. Some people may not think about that at all. Here, these are the statistics. It's saving money, it's saving, the environment.
Well, maybe, if we have a table and we've got a collection of bags, instead of putting the bags on the table and say, take one free.
Yeah.
We do some kind of screening. Do you use reusable bags now? Great. If they say no, well, why don't you take this? It's the new thing in the township. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, why not?
And here is a fact sheet on some of the, in other words, I want to give them some version of
Can we
the
put
fact
facts
sheet
on the back of our bag?
on why we're doing it.
The impact.
I mean, could you?
I think most people don't know why is.
Harry, could you
yeah,
print? Could you?
Most
print the
people
facts?
don't know why it's important.
Could you print the facts on the back of the bag? So that people could be like, they
Just
can,
like 4 facts, like about why plastic bags are so
Look,
bad.
I will, if we get to it, I'm proposing that there be a committee to design and acquire the bags. And I don't feel a
committee?
need to
Oh
be
my
on the
God.
committee. And whatever you want to put on there, you can put on there. The fact is, there are a lot of misleading ads on the internet, as I'm beginning to conclude, on reusable bags. There's one guy who makes a very tasteful bag out of recycled water bottles, and if you looked at it, you would think you could get these bags for $2.67 a bag. But if you actually start to fill out the order, you find out he's charging for the color imprint, and he's charging some setup fee, and he's charging something else, and it comes out to a lot more. So, I mean, that's a tasteful, from my view, bag. But it's going to take a little bit of study once we decide if we want to do it, how much money we want to appropriate from our budget for it, and then what that buys us. And frankly, I would talk to the people over in Delco to see who their vendor was, if people thought this was a viable format. I'm no stake in the format really at all, or in the message. I just want to try an experiment to get them out there. And I don't even care how many we order. I mean, I've got a whole backyard full of, back seat full of bags. I don't need one. But I do think having some bags around that say Newtown Township on them, sustainable, whatever it's going to say, could be positive. Couldn't hurt.
It can't hurt.
Yeah.
As long as there's a message on it,
Mhm.
then we're
Yeah.
Trying
Why?
to-
Why are we
Mhm.
right.
giving out bags? And that's important. That's
And I was
important.
even thinking about, George, the things that we recycle here in the community. I mean, how many people really read the directions about what should be recycled? If that was listed on it, but we certainly should not leave one side blank. We have an opportunity to broadcast information.
Could we use some of the bags to give out to the library? That way we'd be able to have a fact sheet with them, and the library could give it out to, Newtown residents. We would know it go to a resident.
Mhm.
And then the little fact sheet would be there, and as long as they read that and
Mhm.
saw what this is what the goal is, and then they could have a bag. So it's somebody that's a township resident, and it's just for a portion of the bags. I mean, obviously the table, you want that, but
Mhm.
to make sure that we're getting our target residents and not
Okay.
just anybody that's at the table.
Given to businesses too. Make a
Yep.
pledge, get 10 bags, whatever you want.
Yeah.
I like that idea, that when a business signs up to be in the sustainable business,
Yeah.
you give them a supply of 20 bags or something like
Yeah,
that as a
that's
bonus
great.
for signing up, and you'll link the
the
two.
first 100.
Yeah, yeah. The first 100 businesses that sign up get 20 bags to give away or something like that.
Yes, tie it to this whole initiative. I think
Yeah.
would be a great idea.
Let me propose this as the next step would be to put this in front of the supervisors in a presentation for them to tell us, for us to ask permission to go forward. And going forward beyond that, I like the idea of a committee to do this design. We've got to, come up with some prices and quantities that make sense. And maybe get a little more exact about the distribution plans. But I don't see any reason why we can't decide tonight to vote on whether we go forward to propose this to the supervisors.
I think the only question would be the amount that we're allocating, because we discussed $1,200, if that is the amount. As long as we have some,
Number for the supervisor.
Yep.
I thought about that because that will probably be a
How many
question.
bags?
Plus, it's also part of the EAC budget, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
coming out of,
Well,
other
we're not going to do
environmental
anything else. I mean, first of all, it's our money, isn't it? In
Yeah.
other words, we don't need to get, we could spend all 8,000 in terms of the supervisors
Mhm.
concerned, right?
Yeah.
So,
But it's the opportunity cost of what else we could be doing.
so the
with that
committee
money.
is going to, decide
What does the?
the
It doesn't-
format, the vendor, and what the all-in cost is.
Right.
And then this group will approve or not approve,
Mhm.
assuming we got the supervisors.
Yeah,
generally.
it would be nice to go to the supervisor and say,
Yeah, respect.
this is the not to exceed price for this project.
Well, then I put 2,000 down.
Yeah.
How many bags does the 1,200 get you?
Well,
We
I
did that.
was just looking, I looked at a very nice bag, but I happen to think that these, I know paper on it to a favor, but this type of bag
That's a
has a
little-
long shelf life, a life to it. We
Yeah.
use them all the time. This bag, it looks like full color imprint would be $2,000 would only get you 250 of them. So they,
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, they're a little bit stronger, those bags, I feel like, than. the
Yeah,
Delco.
I think they're frankly more substantial, but again, the bag committee's gonna decide that, and I just shouldn't talk to you.
Needs a further discussion right now, or can we move forward with a vote to?
Or do you want to get some volunteers for the committee, or do you want to vote first?
Right,
I'm gonna
but
vote
what was our
first.
target number? Like you said originally 1,200, are we gonna like 1,500? Because Harry's pushing
We'll
it to
we'll put some
2,000.
numbers around that before the supervisor.
Okay.
Like, consider it to be in that neighborhood.
Okay.
So. Forming the bag committee, we can discuss that now. Is anybody interested in bags?
How bad?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll help out as well.
Okay. You Ian came up with some good graphics, so we could leverage what you did for the bag design. Harry, you came up with some good with your sheet of why we're doing it, and we can pick, as Cindy said, 4 or 5 items, bullet items that can maybe be on the back side of the bag.
Well, that is something the bag committee is going to investigate.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much you pay for a whole lot of text.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of them, again, I think these ads are misleading. There 500 people want to sell you these bags.
Mhm.
And yet, I think when you get down into the weeds, the
Uh-huh.
prices aren't what they really
Yeah.
initially say they are.
Well, I know the color has to bump them up a good bit. And the Delco one is one color,
One
which,
color.
yeah.
Bruce, I have a question. We're trying to just have some continuity, because I know, the township of Newtown, which is our township, a lot of people just know us as Newtown Square. Residents have told me that we don't live in the township of Newtown, and they don't understand that it is. And Newtown Square is just one segment of our township.
That's a problem.
But from a recognition, we have sustainable Newtown Square, but on this thing, we have the township of Newtown. So it would be better to have some continuity, maybe have, if you want Newtown Square in that name, and then have the township logo, but we just have a little bit of, we need to
Kind
be
of a branding
consistent.
thing,
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
branding thing for sure. We just need to be consistent in whatever message the township wants to put out.
I think she should be the third member of the bag.
Okay,
I already joined, don't worry.
so we got 3 bag members. I can't.
We're
see
bag
them.
people. now.
Bag people now.
I know.
When is the bag subcommittee meeting next?
Oh, good, if we're not a quorum, so we
Yeah.
can talk. That's great.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve moving forward with a presentation to the supervisors on this program, seeking their endorsement, where Dane, Joe, and Sheila would be on the bag committee. And, we'll regroup in the August timeframe to see where we are. And at that point, we can approve or decide on the actual purchase and some of the techniques, or some of the details. So do I have a motion to move forward on this? Motion?
Motion.
Okay, second?
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, nay? Passed unanimously. Next item we have was inserted as item 7.3, which is the liaison updates. Each of us has been assigned to a different committee and has agreed to kind of stay on top of their activities and Jill, you want to start off? You've been.
Right.
doing some things.
Well, Parks and Rec is phenomenal and they do so many wonderful things. And as their liaison, I try to support them in every way possible. Also, Newtown Township Parks and Rec has been hosting a summer series of exercise classes that will start on June 14th to August 23rd for 11 weeks. We have a professional trainer, nutrition coach who will provide 2 different levels of exercise at the parks every Tuesday night from 6:15 to 7:15, which is a phenomenal opportunity. And I'm looking forward to all of you being there. Wednesday, July 20th, we have Zumbini in the parks at Drexel Lodge for little children between the ages of 0 and 5. And it's about music and movement, fabulous class. The Parks is also hosting yoga in the park, which will start in the fall, and the dates will come out shortly. But actually the greatest thing I want to give the report on is in May, Newtown Township Parks had a fabulous event at Newbie Park. And it was really to bring attention to Newbie Park. It's an area that's kind of isolated and really needed some TLC and some love. Public Works did a fabulous job making sure the park looked great for this event. It was hosted by the township and by Parks and Rec. It was an incredible amount of community involvement from the families. It was a water ice and pretzels, but it was really a spectacular event. The reason I'm bringing that up is at that moment, we noticed that Newbie Park had some issues. And I really would love, and I know Wade's going to discuss it, for the EACs to get involved. We talked with Shade Tree, with Parks, for all of us to kind of maybe plan on doing some type of fall event with them. And Wade's going to go into that further, but it would be helpful for us, EAC, to focus on erosion control issues, maybe some live staking, some really unique issues, bat boxes. So there were specific issues that the residents had. So I really would hope for all of us to get involved with that. And
Great.
Wade will give you the later details.
All right. Anybody else have liaison or committee comments? I know not to put you on
Well,
the spot.
I've attended a couple of planning commission meetings, and Dan was there for at least one of them. They do what I thought they would do, which is they spend a lot of time scrutinizing the comment letter from the township engineer, and the township engineer or whatever engineer is retained by the township in connection with the particular application is present and sort of expands on the letter in various areas. They recommended, I think, approval to the supervisors of that subdivision over what we're calling it, Rocky Knoll or something like that. Subject to the applicant's compliance with a lot of open letters, the issues in the letter. And I guess they're going to consider again on the 23rd, this little golf education building that Aronimik wants to construct on the by the driving range. The odd thing that I guess, is just a kind of like the sun rises in the east. But I think when the Rocky Knoll cul-de-sac goes in, if you were to place a car in the cul-de-sac and tell that car to drive the subdivision behind it, which comes off of Ocean Road, I think it's 42.5 miles or something like that. In other words, this proliferation of cul-de-sacs is marketable. People like to live on cul-de-sacs. But in terms of a municipal planning circulation, facing the thief, getting to the fire concept, it's horrible. And that is one of the best example, and I don't think it came up at the meeting, but I mean, it is what it is, and we didn't plan for it when the first subdivision went in. That what is it called down there? Whatever it is called. They didn't leave any access for the back, and so now they got what they got.
I don't know how many other cul-de-sac building opportunities they are. But I think most of the building opportunities that are left are cul-de-sac potential, because there aren't big blocks of land, there's little slivers of land which are ideal for cul-de-sac developments. I looked at the map, and it would be great to get to Echo Valley.
Echo Valley.
Yeah, from that area. And we could strongly suggest they include a right of way to do that. The problem is that right of way would end in someone's backyard. It's lived there for 40 years, which creates a
And people
problem.
like cul-de-sac and people like that because there's not, it's less through traffic.
Yeah,
That's part of the draw of it.
well, that's the other part of cul-de-sacs and access is they don't want people not from the neighborhood to drive park in a cul-de-sac to go for a hike in the next neighborhood.
I had some reviews.
Yeah, one more thing is, how far does that thing, the proposed development, go over towards Episcopal? Does it touch Episcopal
No,
property at all?
I think the developer's residence is between that tract and Episcopal.
Okay.
And then he's got another piece on the other side that I think he sold to Episcopal.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure there would be access to, for example, the meadows.
See, that's what I was thinking. That would be ideal if you get to the meadows from there, as well as that other neighborhood that's already in place.
He's got another solution for the meadows access.
Yeah. All right, that's planning. And the other thing we discussed last meeting was the ideal thing for us to look at as a committee is the engineer letter, as opposed to trying to study all of the blueprints and developers' text.
Well, that's true, but I have to tell you, and if you read the letter, either of those letters, you will see that 90% of the engineer's comments are engineering comments, which are almost as indecipherable as the plans themselves. I mean, it's a hard nut to crack.
Right.
One thing to add to the planning, I think I mentioned this, but some of the residents on that Timber Lane are going to meet with Aronimink next Monday night. So we'll be over there to inspect what they plan to do. So provide an update. Doesn't seem like too much impact, but we'll see.
Yeah. What exactly is it? A structure they're building, or they're building a?
It's a youth education center for young golfers. Yeah. So it's like driving range, but there's like virtual simulation. And stuff, so.
Well, that's why I did send Dave an email asking them. Aronimink was before the board a couple months ago for a couple other requests. So they come common asking for these variances, but it would be nice if they would consider maybe, even if it's outside the scope of this particular project, maybe doing some lawn conversion project or some meadows, or, throwing us some rain gardens or, other things that they can do. So instead of them always asking for this particular additional requests, what else are they doing to be greener? And maybe if you turn that conversation around yourself and ask them to do that, because they have a lot of space there that they could convert some of that lawn into meadows. So, and I mean, obviously it's a golf course, it's a beautiful golf course, but there's some space that could be changed in the way it's used and still not take away from a beautiful golf course.
And I mean, you have a good point, because I remember that was one thing John Custer kind of always said, is that when someone is coming to you to ask for something,
Yes.
that's the time to turn around and, have a quid pro quo. This is a time to negotiate, like, yeah, we'll approve that, but what are you going to give us? What
And I don't know if it's
positive
necessarily quid pro quo, it's just enlightening them of the opportunities that's before them. And if they're constantly asking for something, what can they do for their own benefit too?
Yeah.
So maybe not necessarily, holding it conditional, because let them know that it would be the best thing for them to do those things.
Right.
but at the time.
Yes.
It gives them a sense of,
I don't know if you're allowed to do exactly quid pro quo is what I'm
Probably not.
saying.
Maybe that wasn't the right term, but
Yeah.
yeah, that idea, I like the idea of.
That's how people end up in stripes.
Yeah, that's how you go to jail. Thank you,
Okay,
Steve.
okay.
I was trying to
Strike
say that
from the
politely. You just suggest that that would be beneficial to, I was trying to keep Cindy out of jail, but Cindy was walking down that.
Thank you.
Other comments on the subject of committees?
Yes, so I've been sitting in with New 10 Square and Bloom and actually planting and weeding and things like that with them. They're still in consultation with Garrett Williamson for community gardens. And so we've been gathering information on other community gardens to try to make a smooth transition. I've also sat in with Gathering the Circle, and in Parking Day for September the 10th is still on the drawing board. I know that Linda McIsaac has a commitment from Willistown Trust to be part of the parking day with one parking lot. I reached out to Tyler because we had partnered with them for our pop-up garden, and Tyler said, not this year. We like to do things with partnerships. So we're looking for partnership within the community. So I responded and said, tell us what kinds of partnership you would like to do. So I'm happy to keep that conversation going. And then finally, I wanted to mention that the EAC will be part of the community table on June the 17th and July the 15th. And one of those dates, I'll work with Birdtown and about native plants and also the different opportunities that people have for certifying their yards. And then on July 15th, Cindy and I will put together a program for at the table. We'll be working with the community table.
Great.
That's it.
Thanks. Anything else? Okay, next item on the agenda is Cindy's. 7.4 is an update on the rain garden.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to let you know that the rain gardens that were installed last fall, one in front of the township building, the police entrance, and the other in the now Little League field, look fantastic. The plants that were put in are growing phenomenally. I just can't even say how healthy they look. And the vast majority have survived. I think there's a few that have been lost, not many. It's really nice to see the design come to fruition. When we planted them, they were little tiny plugs. You couldn't really tell what they were going to look like. We're into like our third succession of bloom color. If you look out here, you'll see a lot of really tall white flowering plants. Before that, there were purple. Before that, there were yellow. So I'm very pleased with that. We had gotten behind in the weeding, but I put up an SOS to New 10 Square and Bloom, and they rallied in support and helped arrange to get some volunteers out to do some good weeding. We will have to do periodic weeding probably throughout this growing season and the next growing season. But it's, I think, off to a very positive start. The one remaining aspect to the rain gardens is the interpretive sign, which I have been very slow to execute on. But I'm now in dialogue with George and have a new idea for what the sign might look like, because this would be at the time, it seemed like it would be kind of the first interpretive sign at one of our parks or nature, I don't know, not centers, but, and it would kind of set the tone for the others. I was at the Historic Railway Museum at Drexel Lodge Park, where George had just installed a very nice educational kiosk that looks more like the kiosk at the opening to the Newtown Meadow Preserve, or there's another one at Drexel Lodge Park. Very nicely done. I would encourage you to stop and look at it. Very durable signs, very large, metal on two sides. Definitely a possible format to take. So George and I are going to work on moving forward with whatever the design will be. And this isn't on the agenda, but
You know,
at the farmer's market on Friday, Terry McCarthy from the Trails group said that their next trail walk was going to come up in July. And she said they had received a lot of positive feedback from the walk 2 months ago that was around the township building. And at that time, they were going to walk the baseball trail and then come in here and look at some artwork. But I joined them, the group, for like 10 minutes at the beginning in the parking lot here and just talked about the planting across the way, about the underground stream. There were like 25 people there who were not the usual suspects that you see around here. And so I talked for like 10 minutes about stormwater and native plants, and people were really interested. They were like, wow, I had no idea. And Terry said she would love for the EAC to do that type of thing again, which is very easy for us to do, to just piggyback on something that they plan, they get the crowd. And when she said the next walk was at Drexel Lodge Park, I said, oh, well, we have lots of native plant and other environmental things that have happened there. You know, one of us would be glad to help with that. So I just found out it's Sunday, July 3rd, which is kind of a holiday weekend. Yeah. So if I'm around, I will be over there talking about the trees we've planted, the wildflower meadow, the rain garden, the native plants. But that is a nice opportunity to partner with another group that gets a lot of attendance. And as Janet Cravanas pointed out, can help us count towards our goal of the number of activities that we participate in towards our annual sustainable town square, whatever.
You know what time it is?
Like 12:30.
My son is leaving on an airplane that day. I'm not exactly
Yeah.
sure what time that is.
Just another side remark. My wife loves to go to farmer's market, and Bryn Mawr has one. And she attended there. It's great. I've been there with her. And she bought a bunch of vegetables, only to find out she bought them from the Newtown Square or
Urban Roots.
Urban Roots up here. She was very pleased that they were at the Bryn Mawr
Great.
farmer's market.
Well, they will be here at our farmer's market too. Paul is going to be picking up the vegetables and helping with the display. So Urban Roots doesn't have the staff to be
Right.
able to bring the materials in, but they will be selling them.
We've got old business. It's pretty simple. Last meeting, we discussed skipping our July meeting. This is just a reminder that's the case. So we're beginning to get together in August again. There'd be some correspondence between now and then on various items, one of which is the bag details. And we'll also try to get on the supervisor's agenda as soon as possible for approval of the Green Business Initiative and also the recyclable bag program.
Great. Bruce, I do have a question. Steve mentioned last meeting that he had asked the PA Environmental Council to review our township ordinances as part of the zoning and land development. Steve, when will you have that report and will you be able to share it with the EAC?
Yeah, once we get it, I don't know exactly when that'll be. It'll go before the board and it'll be available for anyone.
Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, this is a very unique opportunity
Wade going to say?
yeah, for someone from the public kind of to address our group.
Wade Pollock, 108 Ridgefield Road. I'm here on behalf of Parks and Recreation Committee. So one of our parks, Newbie Park, has a perception that's less than it is. George has put playground equipment in there, all sorts of stuff. He maintains it. It's a beautiful park, but for some reason or another, there's a perception that it's less than what it is, especially with the residents around that neighborhood. So we've recently had a public event, a community event that Sheila talked about, and had folks in, and there were a lot of people there who didn't realize that the park even existed, or if there was playground equipment there. So it went well, and we were going to try and do this once or twice a year, just do something there to bring people in to have some interest. So one of the things that came up, that some of the residents were concerned about mosquitoes, and there is some minor stormwater runoff issues, nothing serious, but so we were going to look for help with that, with you guys. I don't know if there's any plannings that we could do, or if there's, could we create a sheet to give to the neighbors or put in the newsletter to tell people empty containers of water and that kind of stuff, and suggest that they plant citronelle, whatever that they could plant to help, all the residents around that area. And is there opportunity for educational signage, wildlife habitats, that kind of stuff? So we are actually planning an October event to do. We're going to start an annual cleanup in October. It's the only park that we don't do a cleanup in annually. So it's just going to be a minor cleanup. There won't be many people there. It's not. I don't think it's going to be associated with any of the DCVA or CRC. If you guys think it could be, please let me know that. So we're planning that sometime in October. We haven't nailed down a date. So if you can help us with that, I asked the Shade Tree Commission to plant 2 trees, just a nominal thing to do for the community, get people in. And George is going to show up there because there's some unique situations there. We want to make sure we're all in agreement with what we do. So we'd like to ask for input from you guys as well. If there's a representative that could go with us, with the Shade Tree Commission, us and George, and just try and figure out where to put the trees. So we're looking for any help that we can get, not just in October, but next year and the year after. If there's anything you think of, just reach out. Sheila is usually at our meeting. She's our point of contact with you. So she does a good job with that.
Yeah, and we spoke with a lot of residents there, and then we have some key issues they brought up. But one of the main thing they mentioned was come the spring to the summer, the mosquitoes and the insects in that area are just unbelievable. So that's where the idea of bat boxes come in. We also suggested maybe through the EAC, we get in plantings with certain plants that would be able to, hairy woody mint, lavender, those type of plants that would discourage mosquitoes, especially in the play area. But if you've ever been to that particular park, the body of water is going right through the edge. So obviously it is a breeding ground for mosquitoes. So would love it if any other EAC members can kind of provide some input. And work on that.
2 questions. One, would there be a place in Newbie Park for a rain garden?
That you guys could make that suggestion. I assume that there could be. There's not a lot of sun there. It's a very shaded area. It's very foresty. There's the big sloping hill with a lot of trees on it that doesn't lend itself to anything. And but I assume you could somewhere.
My other question, this sounds very odd, Wade, but Was the Newbie Park festivities held on a Sunday morning?
Yes.
Yes. It just worked
we
out that
wanna-
way. It was the best thing we could do. The canine officer, Officer Kine, and his dog Boya were there. We had free water ice for pretzels and a chalk art artist that was there in the basketball court. George cleaned it all off for us. It was really an exceptional event. There was a lot of young kids there.
That's the problem. The churches are going bankrupt. I'm not kidding you. And it's hard to get young families in a church atmosphere.
Oh,
And, they're already competing with the soccer league. And if we have to, if churches have to compete with municipal festivities.
We'll make it at 12 o'clock and they can go to the morning mass. Covered.
yeah, we normally do Saturday, but it's, this event required us. to
Well,
do it
I
on
fell out of my
Saturday.
chair when I saw it. No offense, but I hope we could avoid Sunday mornings. I mean,
We do try, yes.
Yes, we usually do Saturday events, but it was based on, like you said, the officer's time and we had to kind of respect other people, so. It was.
One of the
best.
neighbors that had talked with you, I believe, about the bat boxes had already asked me, are they gonna go up?
Yeah, we'd love to. And that's what I really would love, because if we could get it from the EAC, even the budgeting those items, because we put in the bat boxes down the Brookside. But, we have to make sure we can be able to put the boxes in, the steel boxes, the actual pipe, they're expensive. So we got to make sure if we can get the EAC support, it will be a budgetary item. I'm hoping you will be able to give a couple $100 to make Newbie Park beautiful. And really, I would think maybe that particular, I saw 1 or 2 spots where bat boxes would be helpful, but we really might even need other neighbors in that area because of the sun that they need. So, we have to kind of encourage other residents to do those things. By being down there, I would hope that all of you would support Newbie getting some much needed TLC.
If I could just go back, I would concur with Harry. I think we should avoid trying to schedule things on Sunday mornings. I understand you say you had constraints this time, but I think it's best to avoid that time period. I agree.
It was a tough call, so.
Wait, but let me propose this then. I don't know Newbie Park, but I'll visit with independently with this group and we can come back to you with a list of the things that we think might be nice to have there. And we can also, at that time, make a commitment to what level of effort we can put in to getting some of these things done. Would that
Yes,
be a good first step for
Yes.
us?
thank you.
Okay.
And then as far as October, I'll just work with Sheila.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
She's
Wait,
okay.
I'm all for helping out. I have a neighbor, so that
Well,
is my
you were there
neighborhood.
during the water.
So I'm
rush,
all
yeah.
for
Yeah, it's
whatever,
Joe's neighbors,
whether it be with EAC or without, like, I mean, I'll help out in any way,
Okay.
shape or form. So,
Great, thank you.
I mean, Sheila can let me know, you can let me know.
I know the township said last month at the meeting that they're on the township calendar events. There would be, all the particulars. Is there anything else in October that we need to be aware of? So when you do pick a date, anything anyone else is aware of from an EAC township,
Not that I can think of.
anything else? So when you pick a date that we can make sure everyone's in agreement with it and it's good. All right,
Okay,
we'll get the.
we owe you something. I'll take a tour. I'll get you an email with
Thank
our
you,
list
Dave.
as mentioned. And any other public comment? And I have no items listed for the August agenda on here, but we got some time. I'll reach out and we'll put together what makes sense for that meeting. And like I said, we reach out to supervisors and hopefully within the next 2 or 3 of their meetings, we can have an opportunity to make those presentations. All right. With that, I'm going to bring an end to the EAC meeting. Thank you very much for coming.
Need a motion?
Thank you all.
Need a motion?
Do we need a motion and a meeting?